No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to talk about another one-sided victory by the Winnipeg Jets. Following up on their victory on Wednesday in Detroit, they go, I guess that's one state over to Ohio, where they simply take care of business against the Columbus Blue Jackets. If you thought Wednesday was one-sided, well, tonight was even arguably more one-sided. The Winnipeg Jets, 6-2 victors over the Blue Jackets, 10-1 now on the season, a perfect road record. Everything coming up Winnipeg tonight, Dave, the Nikolai Ehlers show on full display.
There's no question about that, Drew. And this is one of those things that you want to disbelieve it a little bit, but you can't, because these guys are showing that they are, in fact, this is a real thing. It's not a mirage. They came out real well. They scored the second goal, the first goal of the game for the second straight game. So they're changing that narrative. They're getting 5-on-5 goals. They're giving up power play goals. That's not the best. Their PK is going to slide a little bit, but I think you'll take that with better 5-on-5 play and your power play still working. So PK still is a bit of a work in progress. Eric Comrie, 3-0 as a starter for the Winnipeg Jets. Made some nice stops in this one, especially when I think it was like 4-2. Could have given the Blue Jackets a little life, but he came up with some big saves. And look, at the end of the day, you're getting each night seems to be a different line carrying it. And before we got going, I was listening to the media availability, and Nikolai Ehlers was speaking with Mike McIntyre and whomever else. Probably Mitchell. No, probably not Mitchell Clinton, because he does the color with Pauly. So maybe Mike with Aaron Portzline, with someone local, whoever it was. But the fact is that, Ehlers was joking with them, saying, actually, Nino Niederreiter told me I better, with how good my warm up was, I was expected to have a big game, and he had a big game, and he came out flying, and I had to keep amending it, Drew, because I do my little projections, like he's on pace 4. Well, my Nikolai Ehlers one ended, originally it was like 40 something goals and 52 assists, and now he's at like 60 and 56 or something. He's on pace for 115 points. I'm sure the Jets would take that, but they needed, they need these kind of wins. This is a good team win. Team's feeling good about themselves. You come back home, you got 4 straight at home, and you want to make some hay here. But what do they keep doing? They just keep winning, and they're winning the games they should win. But remember, you can pillory Columbus, right? But Columbus wasn't doing bad. They'd won
5-3-1 to start the year. They'd beaten the Maple Leafs. They'd beaten the Oilers. They'd beaten some decent teams. And to the to the credit of the Winnipeg Jets, and something they've done all year so far is they have not played down to the caliber of their opponent. Now, Columbus had been off to a nice start, and they're a great story. And I don't know anybody in and around the NHL who hasn't been happy for Columbus's start, given the black cloud that had been hanging over this organization. So everybody was thrilled for that. But the Jets, to their credit, just went out there and absolutely controlled this game. And this was, look, whether you believe in the eye test, whether you believe in the traditional stats, whether you believe in the fancy stats, whichever you subscribe to, this was not a close game. 6-2, the Jets win. So that's pretty good on the scoreboard. You look at the shots on goal, and sometimes the shots on goal aren't necessarily reflective of the game, especially if a team is just throwing pucks everywhere at the goalie if they're in an effort to catch up in the game. Well, that wasn't the case. Shots on goal tonight, 44 for the Winnipeg Jets, 22 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Terribly one-sided. Possession numbers, Jets had 63% of the possession. The Blue Jackets had 37 scoring chances for the Jets, 35 scoring chances for the Winnipeg Jets, 19 for Columbus, and high danger chances, the ones that are, really testing your goaltender, 17 for the Winnipeg Jets. They had 12 on Wednesday, and that's a pretty good number. 17 for the Winnipeg Jets to 5 for the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Ooh.
The expected goals, 3.98 to 1.02. I don't care what statistical elements you believe in more than the others. Whatever one you chose, it just shows how one-sided this game was for the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, shout out to Drew Wendell, not Drew Mindell, but Drew Wendell, who comes up with the Jets sent Columbus back to Spain. I like that one. It's pretty funny. But yeah, Drew, I mean, if you look at this, you didn't really need to look at the numbers to tell you that the Jets were outclassing Columbus, but they tell a story. And they told the same story that I would suspect your eye test watching that game would have told you, which is that this Jets team thoroughly outclassed the Columbus Blue Jackets. And it becomes a testament to they played well. Now, look, I mean, there's a lot of factors. Did they play well for their coach? Scott Arniel coming back to Columbus as a head coach for the first time in 14 years. Of course, this is where he got his start as a head coach in 2010 and 11. And then he had that full season. And I think he was coaching for 40 something more games before they relieved him midway through.
His time in Columbus was an unmitigated disaster.
And there's a really good article about Scott from Aaron Portzline of The Athletic that I linked in the afternoon papers or afternoon links this afternoon, talking about where he had a conversation with Aaron Portzline talking about the mistakes he made in the past and how he kind of came out of it a better coach and how he learned from the mistakes he had made. So if you didn't get a chance to read that, it's on our feed. It's a real good article.
It is a great article, and it shows the growth of Scott Arniel as a head coach. Because, Aaron Portzline, who's now with The Athletic, at the time he was with the Columbus Dispatch, and he was really the only beat writer that covered the Blue Jackets on a regular basis. And Aaron is a very good friend of this program. He's been a good friend of ours for many years now. And Scott Arniel, and he says, in the article, he says, I thought I knew all the answers. I thought I knew how to be a head coach.
That's right.
And he admits, now hindsight 2020 and all that he didn't. And he didn't go about the job well. And he, in fact, went out of his way to pick fights with Aaron Portzline of the at the time of the Columbus.
I don't think he went out of his way, but I don't think he avoided it.
They had a confrontational relationship from the get-go, and that's not the way a head coach needs to act, especially when that's the only real media beat writer who's covering your team on a daily basis. Just another example of how Scott Arniel has adapted and how he has grown and how he has learned in his next stint as being a head coach behind the bench. Because I totally do believe, Dave, that to some extent, look, by and large, the Jets are a better team than the Blue Jackets. So that's the major factor. But to some extent, I also believe that the players in that dressing room know that their head coach is returning to play into a city where, when he was first head coach in the league, he did not succeed. He was summarily dismissed midway through the second year. So the players in the dressing room, who speak, by and large, speak very highly of Scott Arniel, I'm sure that also factored into their thinking a little bit with regard to their performance tonight.
I mean, I agree, of course, because I was making the point.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a testament to the team that they came out the right way. And I think they wanted to do that regardless of the symbolism of the game or not. But I just think that adds to it. I think the Jets have a burr in their saddle, which, if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, is not a bad thing for this team. They didn't like the way they played against Toronto. They didn't like losing to Toronto. And they didn't want people to be like, of course, here they go again.
Yeah.
And so instead, what do they do?
Everyone's thinking that they're frauds.
No, exactly. And so, but what do? They come out and they pummel the next two opponents. And you're going to have a stiffer test in Tampa on Sunday afternoon. But the fact of the matter is that you're going to, and you've got Dallas the following weekend. We talked about it. The schedule is going to get tougher. But as I highlighted the comment by someone earlier in the chat, Drew, you can only play the schedule that you're handed. You know, you can only do what is in front of you. So, you know what, right now, what the Jets have done is they've banked 20 out of 22 points, folks. Again, we're not talking about locks for the playoffs, but it's kind of a lock for the playoffs right now based on what they're doing. I mean, you don't get to 20 points. And I detailed it the other day on the website when they were 9-1-0, because I just thought, you know, it's a remarkable place for this Jets club to be. And I was curious, like, historically, how did this compare to the Jets of the past? How would this compare to the previous 13 seasons that we've seen in Winnipeg from a Jets club, right? 9-1-0, not exactly insignificant. And interestingly, the best season this Jets team ever had was 21-22 from the start of 10 games, I should say, at 6-2-2. They've had a bunch of 6-3-1 starts, but getting 18 out of possible 20 at that point. Now it's, 20 out of a possible 22. Yeah. But the truth is, it's not insignificant. And, you look through the years, Drew, even last year's team, or, 17-18, best year ever of the Jets, right? Like I don't think anybody would question 17-18 was the best Jets team we've ever seen.
Agreed.
And that team got to 9 wins that year in game 16 versus game 10.
Right.
So this team is doing something. You're going to you have a long way to go. You have to prove it. And there's no doubt about it. You're going to have some stiff tests throughout the course of the season. But if you're a Jets fan right now, with the lines going the way they're going, with the goaltending that you're getting from your backup goaltender, right, where everybody was all nervous, Eric Comrie, 3-0, you got to just enjoy the ride. And more importantly, while you're enjoying the ride, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to this channel.
There you go. Do what Dave M said. Smash the like button. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk with you on a Friday night. Go ahead, Dave.
No, and the one last point I was going to make, and I just saw it in the chat, but it's something I was thinking about. It's something I've mentioned on both the Saturday show and on our post-game shows. Oh, sorry, it's Hamilton Dave saying, "Yep, Ehlers is playing for the cash, but I'm okay with it." And I've mentioned this, Drew, and it's curious, it's interesting because some of the guys who got on the score sheet today, but the Jets are seeing the benefit of guys in their final year of their contract. Nikolai Ehlers, final year of his contract, on pace for a career year. Mason Appleton, final year of his contract, on pace for a career year. Neil Pionk in the final year of his contract, on pace for a career year. Even Vlad Nemestikov in the final year of his deal is on pace for a career year. The only one who isn't is Alex Iafallo. And even Gabe Vilardi, who of course is an RFA, he's playing for his next big deal. So you're getting the benefit of all these Jets. And I said it, I want to say I said at the beginning of the year, before the year started, saying that the Jets, I think, will be beneficiaries of all these guys playing for their next contract. But we're seeing that a little bit. And again, I'm not saying that that's their motivation, but I just think that it doesn't hurt things.
It certainly doesn't hurt things when guys, they stay motivated. They want to play for their next contract, whether that's in Winnipeg or in a different market altogether. Time will tell on that front. But the Jets will absolutely reap the benefits of it. And tonight, I mean, when he is on, and he was on, with capital O, capital N in today's game, there is no player in the NHL who's quite as exciting and quite as dynamic as Nikolai Ehlers. So his performance...
There's a McDavid guy who I wouldn't necessarily throw down the throwaway.
You know what I'm talking about. Ehlers is one of those guys who can take over a game when he's at peak Nikolai Ehlers, as he was tonight. And there's other players in the league. But from the Jets' perspective, when he's going, good things are going to happen. And his performance tonight really is going to lead off the Play Now game recap.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Please, please, please enjoy responsibly. And it really was the Nikolai Ehlers show tonight. I mean, you saw the jump that he had in the step. You mentioned when the Niederreiter said about Ehlers in warm-up, just that he seemed like he was, had that extra sort of speed boost attached to him tonight. And he certainly was, the hat trick, as we all well know, he certainly was the most dynamic player on a team full of dynamic players tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. And he opens the scoring at the 5:13 mark. Again, the Jets come out as an absolute house on fire. dominating in the early going, in the shots on goal and everything else like that. And then they finally get rewarded. Not finally, but they get rewarded 5 minutes and 13 seconds. Nikolai Ehlers, his fifth from Colin Miller. The Blue Jackets are hemmed into their own zone. I believe it's Justin Danforth who can only sort of just relieve the pressure by flipping it into the Winnipeg Jets zone. Ehlers is coming off the bench. Colin Miller sees that Ehlers has that head of speed. He gains the Blue Jackets blue line with no problems at all, and then he absolutely unleashes a howitzer, which very easily could be our Seagram shot of the game. I'll save it for a different goal, just for the, really no reason. I might as well just save it for a different goal. But it just unleashes an absolute howitzer that beats Elvis Merzlikins. You want Merzlikins to make that save by and large, because it wasn't from a close-in shot, but it was still a hell of a shot by Ehlers. And when he hits the blue line with speed, opponents have no other option but to back off, and they back off, and he unleashes the shot. Shades of, if you remember back to, I think it was rookie year, him scoring a goal in Madison Square Garden against the Rangers, where he unleashed the cannon after gaining the zone on a clean zone entry, and he went bar down with that one in Madison Square Garden all those years ago. Shades of that jump to my mind when you look at this goal from Ehlers to give the Jets the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and heads up play by Colin Miller, like you said, Drew. Yeah. I mean, did recognize that the both teams were kind of in the midst of a change. He sees Ehlers, and as he builds up that speed, and we know what he can do. You do wonder, though, again, whether that puck deflected in off of the defender's stick. But regardless, which obviously would have changed the direction a little bit, and Merzlikins made the save a little more difficult for Merzlikins. It's pretty far out. But and often you don't see a puck hit the back of the net with that kind of velocity and then pop out so quick and end up like almost at the blue line after the shot. But it's a rifle, and it's exactly the type of start to this game that the Jets wanted. Right? It was a lot of energy, and like I said, I thought the Jets came out well, and they had kind of that early sort of pressure on Columbus, and I liked a lot of the connectivity that the team showed throughout the course of this hockey game, setting up not just when they scored, but just in general, but specifically when they scored, you could see it. And I'm thinking specifically of the Appleton goal, which we'll get to eventually. But I mean, Nikolai Ehlers, we've seen what he can do, and he's a dynamic player. He's an exciting player, and he gives Winnipeg a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, exactly how the Jets wanted to start the game. Again, you get the good feelings, you get the doubts into the opponent's head. Blue Jackets playing well, getting, confident hockey team, how they've been playing as late. When you give up an early goal, when the Jets are flying, when they look like they don't have any answers for what the Jets are throwing at them, the seeds of doubt are planted early in the minds of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But to the Blue Jackets' credit, they battle back and they tie the game up at 1. It's a bit of a broken play. A bit of a bouncing puck. It's the
I called it, Drew, a healthy, team-friendly home bounce.
Yeah, it bounces sort of off the end boards and off the back of the net, and it ends up on the stick of James Van Riemsdyk, who's certainly into the grizzled veteran period of his career as he's now with the Blue Jackets, and he feeds it from behind the net. You can see sort of DeMello and Morrissey are both behind the net. Scheifele's behind the net. Well, when you got 3 guys on the same team behind the goal, that usually means somebody's going to be open in front. And that player who was opened in front was Sean Corrali. And you see Niederreiter is just about an eighth of a step away from getting there, but it goes from Van Riemsdyk behind the net to Corrali in front of the net into the back of the net. And the Blue Jackets have tied the game at 1 goal apiece at the 11-minute and 2-second mark of the first period, Dave.
Yeah, and it's just, again, like I said, it's one of those situations where it looks like the Jets are in some trouble, but they could get it out. And Morrissey and Scheifele are trying to support each other. Scheifele thinks that puck's coming with them after that bounce. Of course, it bounces completely the opposite way. And as you said, Drew, JVR is a pro. He knows what to do with it, gets it right out in front, and Corrali puts it into the back of the net. Not much Eric Comrie could do on that one, and it's a 1-1 game. And it obviously gave Columbus a little bit of life. They were feeling good about themselves, especially because I don't remember what exactly the shots were at that point.
I think they were like 10-4 maybe they were pretty one-sided. It really gave the Blue Jackets a bit of a boost where they needed one, because they had certainly been outplayed early in the game to that point in time.
Yeah, it was 8-4. It was 8-4, and I guess this would be considered the fifth shot. But just prior to that, it had been 7-2, and the Jets really looked like they were dominating. And like I said, Mark Scheifele, thinks he's got it. Josh Morrissey puts it up, and Dylan DeMello and Scheifele are kind of caught looking. And there's two Jets behind the net, which on only one Blue Jacket, which means it's not going to end up well if the Blue Jackets get that puck, and they do, and they make them pay. So it's a 1-1 game, and Columbus has a little bit of life, even though the Jets had been kind of dominating at that point. And that's kind of sounds like the hallmark of Columbus, that they just try and stay in the game, and that's what they were doing to that point.
Yeah. The Jets get the lead back, though. It takes them a little under 4 minutes to get the lead back. It comes it's unassisted is what it's currently being credited
as. Well, because Merzlikins touched it, right?
Right, I guess so. So it's unassisted. It's Nikolai Ehlers, his second of the game, his sixth of the year. And you could say, as I said, he's been flying from puck drop, and he gets this one as well. And really, the credit for this play has to go to Dylan Samberg for keeping the puck in at the Jets' blue line. It starts with a face-off to the let me do this in my directions, to the right of Merzlikins, a face-off that's actually won by the Blue Jackets. They fail to clear because Dylan Samberg makes a very strong, very aggressive play to keep the puck, zone. It bounces around sort of in the mid-ice portion of it, above the circles. Vlad Nemesnikov is there. Perfetti is there. It comes eventually onto the stick of Ehlers, and he comes down the left of Merzlikins and absolutely fires it far side, off the post and in, beating Merzlikins' blocker side. To really give the Jets the 2-1 lead. Just a dynamite shot by Nikolai Ehlers and a dynamite play by Dylan Samberg to keep the puck in when it really certainly looked like the Blue Jackets were going to have a clear there, Dave.
Yeah, and Cole Perfetti going to the front of the net and taking away Merzlikins' eyes. I mean, that's not the best defense from Columbus, because Cole Perfetti has no interference, nobody stopping him from taking the front of the net, right? There's no preventative defense there from Columbus. And I guess you could say that'd be an interference, but nobody's with him. So Perfetti has the opportunity to try and take away his Merzlikins' eyes, which is what he does. And Nikolai Ehlers' shot is Nikolai Ehlers' shot. And we've seen it for how long now, Drew, where we know how it's like Kyle Connor, and the Jets had been able to bring up, sort of kind of take back the momentum after Columbus had tied the game. And sure enough, like I said, Nikolai Ehlers, you just felt it. And whether it was because of the conversation he had with Nino Niederreiter during the warm-up, whatever it was, but he looked good. He looked dangerous. He was creating chances. And the Jets as a whole were creating chances. There was a good chance for the Winnipeg. So you like the fact that not only are they creating them, they're burying their chances, and they're scoring a lot of goals, right? And obviously we're only at goal 2, but we've got quite a ways to go still.
Yeah, quite a ways to go still. Goal 2 for the Jets, goal 3 for the game. That's how the first period comes to a conclusion, with the Jets leading 2-1. We say good evening to everyone just joining us. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's brought to you by our friends at Play Now. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you on this Friday night. We do this after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. Smash the like button if you haven't already done so. We're also going to do it again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Back here, yourself, or yours truly, Dave Manouk, Dan Robertson, Daniel Fink. We're all going to be here for 2 hours to talk about the Winnipeg Jets. That's
Dan
coming
Fielding.
up tomorrow. That's coming up tomorrow at 9 a.m. And for those asking, Ezzy is off. He's on assignment this weekend. We look forward to welcoming him back on Tuesday night when the Jets and the Utah Hockey Club will do battle. So it's you got the Drew and Dave show for the majority of this weekend. Hopefully that keeps you entertained enough. The Jets make it 3-1 in the second period at the 2:20 mark. So the good tidings, the good feelings from the first period are carrying over to the second. It's Mason Appleton, his 4th of the year, assist to Neil Pionk and Adam Lowry. And Pionk with a great assist to set up Appleton. But before that, I want to start with the pass from Pionk from all the way behind the Jets' own net. It's a wonderful stretch pass by Neil Pionk onto the stick of Nino Niederreiter. Just as good of a pass as you're going to see in the NHL. It goes from behind Eric Comrie all the way to Nino Niederreiter, who's at the Blue Jackets' blue line. He gains the zone. He loses the puck briefly. He gets it back. Then it gets onto the stick of Adam Lowry, and then it's onto the stick of Neil Pionk. And a beautiful pass by Pionk to Appleton in the slot. One-timer, 3-1 for the Winnipeg Jets. When Neil Pionk is playing the way he's been playing so far this year, and there's been some rough spots, but by and large, when he's playing the confident game that we've seen him play, especially offensively this year, he's a real asset to the Winnipeg Jets.
No doubt about it. Again, member of the UFA club this season, and he's showing that again, I'm joking. I don't think it's not all about the money, guys, of course, but this is a player who the Jets. The biggest question mark we had on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show before the season got underway was, would Neil Pionk be able to regain the form we've seen from him in years past and play the way the Jets needed him to be? Is, a guy who contributes, a guy who can play defense as a second pairing guy on an NHL roster. And we're seeing the offense from Neil Pionk again, on pace for a career year. He's been able to get it done. And you're right, Drew, like it's the stretch passes. That's an area Dylan Sandberg's still working on. Yeah. But Neil Pionk does have that vision. He's, I think I don't remember who it was. I thought maybe Mark Scheifele or someone described him like having another forward out there the other day. And he does have that sort of vision that knows a little bit. So, and we saw it when he made the switch with Kyle Connor and scored against Detroit the other night.
That's right.
Where he went and attacked the front of the net.
Set play off the face-off. That's
right.
Was I don't remember which goal that was against Detroit exactly. That was the second or the third. But you just see you can see his mindset. I mean, you can't because it's a mindset, but
I can't really see his
folks.
mindset.
I know, you know what I mean.
Envision what it is, though.
Yeah, but you can see that he's thinking aggressive, and that's what when Coach John Goines was on with us on last Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show, I said it was controlled aggression. And you're definitely seeing that from Neil Pionk this year. And this was another example, a great pass. Go back, folks, and watch the pass from Pionk to Niederreiter. And then you just watch Pionk put himself into a good position in order to set up Appleton for the goal. They're thinking offense. They're thinking drive the play. They're thinking controlled aggression, and you saw it there from Neil Pionk to give the Jets the 3-1 lead early in the second period.
Well, and when I mentioned in our preamble before we started getting into the recap, Drew, one of the things I noticed was the connectivity of that line in this shift specifically, and I just like the fact that almost everybody on the ice touched the puck there, right? 4 of the 5 guys touched the puck because Nino Niederreiter, you're right, controls that, makes a nice drop. Pionk, again, knowing where to be. And then Mason Appleton, credit him as well, because, he's got to bury that. And he does. And it's, this is, again, you're getting guys who are feeling good about themselves because everybody is contributing and everybody's getting having a hand in these victories, right? It's not reliant on one line. The only line, obviously, that's not overwhelmingly contributing, obviously, on the score sheet is the fourth line, the Kupari line. Right. But they're still winning their minutes. They're just not scoring, getting the benefit of those goals.
Almost an 80% Corsi for percentage for the Jets' fourth line in tonight's game.
And I've talked to players just recently. I was talking to Moose players, but it's the same sort of concept, is that you don't necessarily, how do you know if your game's going if you're not getting up on the score sheet? And, regardless of who I was talking to, they all had their own sort of insight. But my point is, you read out that number, Drew.
Yeah.
And that's a huge win. If you can have a fourth line that controls the play like that when they're up against whichever group that they're going up against on the road, though, so they're not getting the favorable matchups in that regard.
Right.
That's always going to be a real good thing for this Jets club.
Yeah, 8.5 minutes where your line, where the fourth line is controlling 80% of the play, tells you that they're tilting the ice in a very significant way, as they did tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets. All the Jets lines were positive, of course, on the Corsi for percentage, given the one-sided.
Pretty sure your Corsi for would have been positive in tonight's game, Drew.
Let's not get carried away now, Dave. Power play goal for the Blue Jackets cuts the lead from 3-1 to 3-2. This is late in the second period with Scheifele in the box for tripping. Old friend Sean Monahan. Good to see him succeeding. He's got that big contract there. And, there's a great article by our buddy Mike McIntyre. I'm sure it'll be in tomorrow's morning papers where he talked to Monahan. He went there to play with Johnny Gaudreau, and we know the tragedy that occurred there, just an unspeakable tragedy, where him and his brother were I'm going to use the word murdered by a drunk driver, an alleged drunk driver, because I don't want to get sued, but we all know the truth. And Monahan has just had to be a leader in that dressing room, and the entire Blue Jackets organization raving about him, both off the ice and on the ice. And he gets his 6th of the year, assist to Zach Werenski and Kirill Marchenko. It's a power play goal. It's just, where is Monahan when you're on the power play? He's in the front of the net. He's in front. He's so adept at tipping those pucks, and that's what he does to beat Eric Comrie. And he gives the Blue Jackets life again from 3-1 back to 3-2 late in the second period, Dave.
Yeah, and that's one thing we haven't really seen from the Jets, and one thing you're not really complaining is the lack of discipline. And they had a few stick infractions, which the coach just doesn't like. Mark Scheifele took that tripping penalty, right, Drew? But this is it's good work by Columbus. One of the things you saw from Winnipeg is how quick they made the decisions. And in this one, Columbus is finding open space, and Zach Werenski gets the shot off, like you said. And one thing about Sean Monahan, although it's interesting because they didn't give him the goal initially, but one thing about him is we know how adept he is. And you got to think that both Dylan DeMello and Dylan Samberg are aware, but you've got two Columbus guys in front who are basically, they own the real estate, right? So that's kind of the unfortunate part, is that DeMello and Samberg are not really taking a man. And I understand somewhat, but it's quick. It's quick strike, but at the same time, you just want to see a little bit better positioning by them on that PK, just because you got to tie up the stick of Monahan. If you're DeMello, you've seen him do it 1,000 times in practice, not all of last season, but since when they acquire him, like sometime in February of 2020, well, I guess 2024, but it was February of 2024. So that's the concern for the Jets, that that what Monahan can do when he's in front of the net. You saw him do it for you on the power play, and no surprise he's able to do it for Columbus in that regard.
You're absolutely right. So it's 3-2 for the Winnipeg Jets at this point in time. You're late in the second period, but again, this is just a demoralizer for the Blue Jackets. 2 minutes and 21 seconds later.
And by the way, Drew, shots are 26-12 at that point.
Right. So it's a one-sided game, and it's only a 1-goal game. But, to the Jets' credit, so Columbus scores in the first period. It takes the Jets 4 minutes and 12 seconds to regain the lead. Columbus scores to cut the lead in 1-1. That takes the Jets 2 minutes and 21 seconds to get the lead back to 2 goals. It's Ehlers, the Hattie goal, the hat trick goal. Might as well make this one as well. It's not necessarily the prettiest of them all, but for tonight's purposes, it's also the
Seagram shot of the game.
Why not? He gets the hat trick with this one. It might as well be the Seagram shot of the game. Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Whatever you're drinking tonight, drink it responsibly. Make it Seagram's 83, Manitoba's favorite Canadian whiskey. Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their support of the show. What I like the most about this goal is the puck retrieval demonstrated by the Winnipeg Jets. They go and they win the loose battles for the pucks, and they're so hard on the Blue Jackets that the Blue Jackets just repeatedly turn it over, and they can't gain control of it, and the Jets just win puck battle after puck battle after puck battle on this goal. Even though it says Ehlers unassisted, you go back and you watch this goal, and you see that Perfetti's got a role in it, and you see that Nemesnikov's got a role in it. You see top to bottom, everybody that's on the ice for the Winnipeg Jets in this sequence is hard on the puck. They win the puck battles. Eventually, the loose puck comes to Nikolai Ehlers, and it's a wide open net, just the nature of where the puck has gone here, there, and everywhere. But the Jets succeed and make the goal a possibility, and Ehlers gets the unassisted goal as a possibility just because the Jets continually win the puck battles, Dave.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And that's one of those things, retrievals, right? We've heard about it. Marty Johnson was talking about it. This is one of those things that the Jets, I'm not going to say they weren't doing it last year, but it just seems like they're much quicker on pucks, more aggressive, controlled aggression, to quote a Drewism, if you will. But this is just good puck retrieval, good heads up play, nose for the net. The Jets are aggressive in that regard. And, from chaos, you see a Nikolai Ehlers hat trick. And, Drew, I honestly think probably the most shocking thing is that it's his first hat trick since 2018.
It's hard to believe it's been that many years since he last got a hat trick. I agree.
He has 5 hat tricks total, which puts him, behind Scheifele, and Laine had 8, I think. And Scheifele has 6 or 7. But it's just amazing to me that Ehlers, and Connor has probably 6 or 7 as well. Right. But it's just amazing to me that a guy like that who can score that easily, and does it, but doesn't seem to get the hat tricks, which again, obviously you're going to take more consistent scoring across the board than you are inconsistent hat tricks. But it's just funny how, like I said, when I remember I looked it up, because I always pay attention to see when guys get their last hat tricks, all that stuff. I'm just fact checking myself. Scheifele has 8, Laine has 8, Kyle Connor has 5, and now Nikolai Ehlers has 5. So those guys are the hat trick leaders for the Winnipeg Jets. Not since the 17-18 when the Jets were getting all those. I think they had 8 hat tricks that one season, but there's been, or maybe it was 18-19 when Laine went nuts in November. But regardless, Nikolai Ehlers, he gets his first the first Jets hat trick of the season and his 5th of his career. And it's just hard work. They don't all have to be the nicest shots of the game necessarily. Some folks were giving you the gears, Drew, saying that they couldn't believe you picked that one. But okay. You were picking it more for the symbolism, that more than maybe the actual shot itself. Because I agree with some of the comments. You probably give it to Ehlers' first goal or Josh Morrissey's goal. But regardless, the hat trick is not something insignificant. We'll talk to Dan. He's joining us on tomorrow's show at around 9:30. He'll tell us all about what it was like to see 3 Jets fans toss their hats out onto the ice at Nationwide Arena.
That's right. So Dan Robertson tomorrow morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, the post-game show presented by our friends at Play Now. 4-2 for the Winnipeg Jets after 40 minutes, and they make it 5-2 on the power play. So they've given up one shorthanded goal. They get a power play goal at the 11:39 mark of the third period.
Drew, I just want to, before you get into that, Mark Scheifele gets that penalty, that tripping penalty that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the second. It's only a 4-2 game, and that's an important kill.
You're talking about the Morgan Barron tripping penalty.
Morgan Barron. Sorry, Morgan. Did I say Scheifele?
Scheifele got the one that Monahan.
Yeah. But the point, the Morgan Barron one, although I think they said on the broadcast they thought it was Rasmus Kupari and Morgan Barron got called for it, but ultimately, regardless, that one is a big kill because it's a 4-2 game. If they score early in the third and make it a 4-3 game, it's a lot, Captain Obvious. It looks like a lot different of a hockey game. And instead the PK comes through and makes a big kill there.
Just like in Detroit. Remember, Detroit had a power play that ended one period and started the next that the Jets were able to successfully kill off. And they replicate that tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. So they kill off that penalty, and then the Jets make it 5-2 at the 11:39 mark. It's a power play goal. Morrissey is second.
Ooh.
Sorry, got something in my throat there. An absolute clap bomb.
Hey, this sounds like Dave M's time to shine. If Drew's not able to talk.
Hang on, I'm okay. I'm not that bad. Morrissey is second of the year, assist to Mark Scheifele and Nikolai Ehlers. And what I love on this one is that the play starts. The Jets win a puck retrieval on the power play, and it starts to the right of Merzlikins. That's where they win the puck retrieval, to the right. And you watch the puck go. It goes up the right-hand boards, It goes over to the other side. It goes back down the left-hand boards, the left of Merzlikins.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back around the net, and then the pass to Morrissey comes from the right-hand side where the play began. So they've taken it all the way around the rink before the pass from Scheifele onto Morrissey's stick, and he absolutely wires it past. But you have to love that puck movement. It's funny. Laura was saying to me earlier today, she's saying, "Oh, do you want to take the kids to the Harlem Globetrotters in January when they come to town?" I said, "Yeah, sure. The kids would like that." And this is sort of, not that this was anything fancy or anything Globetrotter-esque, but it was just great puck movement. And the Globetrotters are a good basketball team. Has good ball movement, and that's what you saw, and that's what you've seen from the Jets. Dynamic, because I can use that word for it right now. It's dynamic. The power play, and Morrissey, when he tees it up, just on and off the stick, an absolute bullet to give the Jets a 5-2 lead.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion from you there, Drew, and I, we talked about it. I mentioned it the other day because I was looking at the goals from the defense, and I thought, wow, the Jets are getting, productive. Like we talked about, Rick Bowness wanted 44 goals, and this team's on pace for 50, 60 goals from their blue line. And yeah, Josh Morrissey critical on the power play, and this power play unit, had some good looks, and he buries that one. And you're right, that's a no doubter with that big blast from 44. He's playing for it, right? Like these guys, look, everybody being motivated, whatever their motivation is, Hellebuck and Scheifele, well, I mean, a lot of these guys want to win a Stanley Cup. They want to solidify their legacies. They also want to be part of this Four Nations. Don't think Josh Morrissey's not thinking about Four Nations. Don't think Josh Morrissey's not thinking about the Olympics, as is Mark Scheifele, as is a lot of other players. And I think that, again, these guys are making the case. This defensive core right now has, I think, the most points as a group. I mean, Cale Makar is single-handedly keeping the Avalanche story in it because of he's got 17 points coming into action tonight. But although I don't think Colorado was playing tonight, but
no, they're not.
But the point is he's got half the points for Colorado of their, or a little bit under half. Whereas the Jets have a little more even distribution with Scheifele, with Morrissey and Pionk, and of course Sandberg and Miller and that stuff. But ultimately, you're getting help from that back end, and the power play continues to be lethal and it continues to be fast, and the decision making is good. And as a result, what a surprise! Nikolai Ehlers on the top power play unit, and that unit is having success. And you have to pick your poison.
Yeah.
Like you really can't. Like I understand. And the funny part is the second unit, which I believe maybe they're even again. We'll have to ask Kelly Moore.
Yeah, they'd be, because they were, the second unit was one up after the game on Wednesday, so now they'd be back to even. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that they're even. These two units are even. But
you talk about that. Don't think for a second there isn't a little bit of internal competition.
Sure.
With regard to the two units. That the first unit definitely wants to go out and match the second unit. And it's not a rivalry, and it's not a bad thing. In fact, it's how good teams succeed, is that the players challenge each other. Remember what was it they said in the offseason? What was the thing about the offseason? 10% more. How do you get 10% more out of these guys? How do you as a player go home in the offseason? How do you get 10% more to give to this team next year? Well, in the on the special teams, the second unit, they're giving that 10% more. You don't think that first unit wants to go out and give that 10% more as well? So these are all very good things when the players themselves are the ones challenging one another and competing with one another and driving one another to the heights that we've seen this Winnipeg Jets team achieve so far this year.
Again, whether it's I'm giving the fourth line some love in the chat right now because, well, I should say the chatters are giving the fourth line some love and I'm highlighting their comments, but it's across the board. And these guys, these players are collectively as a group are earning their minutes. And don't think that there's a huge advantage to be able to play your fourth line, to have confidence in your fourth line. When your fourth line produced, what was it, 80%, Drew, in terms of the advanced stats for the fourth line tonight?
Just under 80%, but yes.
When you're able to do that, what does it do? It gives the coach a chance when you're up in cruise control and in the third period, and you feel like, okay, well, now we can allow our guys to, we're going to get these guys some minutes. They're going to feel good about themselves. And ultimately, what are we going to do? We're going to rest the Kyle Connors because they're already having success. I'm not saying they're not going to play, but you don't need to ride them. And that's the other benefit. We're seeing it across the board because you're seeing the benefit of, Eric Comrie already has 3 starts. Jets only played 11 games, right? That's not insignificant to think that Connor Hellebuyck has had 3. Realistically, your backup would have played probably 2, but to have already got him 3 out of 11, I think it's good. It's a good sign because, and again, they're very cognizant of the fact that the Four Nations is going to come up. There's a condensed schedule, but my idea being, or my thought process is, you're giving your players the wherewithal to have health and to have, to stretch things out and to not force Connor to play, and by Connor, I mean Kyle Connor, to play, 5, 6, 7 minutes in too much that he shouldn't. And a lot of these guys, you're able to dial them back. I haven't looked at the minutes played today, but I'm just saying that overall, I would imagine that that's probably what the story is going to be, especially based on what the third period happened.
Yeah, and we'll touch on the minutes played and everything after the break. The Jets wrap up the scoring. It's a beautiful play by Kyle Connor. Ooh, I mean, it's just
filthy.
It's filthy. And Zach Aston Reese is the victim of the Blue Jackets on this one. And Zach is still, I think, looking to see what the hell happened. You'll have to go back, and he won't like the video of it very much. But it's Morrissey to Kyle Connor, and Kyle Connor just feeling it, and just a wizardry of a play to set up Gabe Vilardi, and Vilardi makes no mistake. And sort of a quiet night by and large for that first line until that play. And it's Connor. He's up to, what's he up to now? How many points is he up to now? 15, 16 on the year already?
No, he's not 9. He's 19, I think.
How many goals does he have? I can't even keep
He's got
track.
9 goals. He's got 9 goals.
9 goals. Then he's got 9 goals, 9 assists, so 18 points.
So 18 points.
I mean, and this was his. He so now it's an 11 game point streak to start the year for Kyle.
Technically
Connor.
19 if you go back to the 8 he scored the 8 games he had played before at the end of the season.
True, but he gets on the board late, and Vilardi gets his 4th of the year, and it's 6-2 for the Winnipeg Jets. Just a tremendous victory. The Jets remain perfect on the road. 6 wins in 6 road games so far this year, which is unbelievable is the way to put it. They come home. They got Tampa on a Sunday afternoon, and then they got 3 straight division games to wrap up a 4-game homestand. They're flying high, the Jets are, and the Blue Jackets were their latest victim. 6-2 tonight in Columbus, Ohio. The Jets back in action on Sunday against the Lightning. Don't go anywhere, folks. We have more to come on the Illegal Curve post-game show. In the interim, while we play these very important commercials, you can smash the like button, you can subscribe to the podcast, and you can leave us some feedback and let us know what you think of our program. Drew Mindell, Dave Manouk with you. It's a Friday night. The Jets win 6-2. Don't go anywhere.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal. Starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Bottom of the hour. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. This isn't the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. That's tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with yours truly, with Dave Manouk, with Daniel Fink, the Moose broadcaster, the Moose in action tonight. So we'll do a Moose minute. We'll do a whole Moose segment tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll save it for tomorrow.
I'll save it for tomorrow. And Dan Robertson, the Winnipeg Jets broadcaster, TSN 3 Jets broadcaster, he's going to join us. Thanks to Dan for waking up early tomorrow after the late night in. So Dan, appreciate that kind of loyalty to our great audience here on Illegal Curve. Just a complete dominant effort by the Winnipeg Jets over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Some post-game comments, this courtesy Jamie Thomas, who's in Columbus. No, he's not. He's in Winnipeg, but he wrapped his game recap. Sorry. Here's what Ehlers said after the game, after getting the hat trick. Quote, felt pretty good in warm-up. And Nino said he'd be pretty disappointed if I didn't score tonight with that warm-up. So it was pretty funny how that worked out. Yeah, I mean, first goal, I love coming down that side with the clapper. Luckily, it went in, said Ehlers. So from that on, I think as a line, played really well, and that created a lot of chances. We could have had a few more, but it felt good. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy, Nikolai. You got 3. That was very good. Your line played pretty well. Here's Jets head coach Scott Arniel. Quote, we're trying to keep people out of our end of the rink, so that means you are playing probably down in the other end. That checks out. That's logically that checks out there.
Yeah.
You try when you get teams caught on the ropes there a little bit and getting tired and start zone timing them. That's when we try to keep our foot on the gas and keep the pressure on them. It's not always going to end up that way, but you got to take what's being handed to you right now. Just another unbelievable performance by the Winnipeg Jets. They're averaging almost 5 goals a game.
I know.
I mean, and they're not giving up any. I mean, folks, it's just really enjoy this ride. You're giving up barely more than 2 a game, and you're scoring almost 5 a game. You don't have to be a hockey analyst to know that's pretty good stuff right there. Just a complete, the Jets have given up the 26 goals so far. Carolina's given up 21, but in 2 less games.
Yeah.
So, if you look at it on a goals against per game played, level, they're pretty even there. And then they're just putting the puck in the net. 52 goals for so far this year. Tops in the NHL. The New Jersey Devils are second, but they've played 2 extra games. The Golden Knights are the only team close to the Jets. They've scored 50 goals in their 11 games. So who knows how long the ride's going to last, but enjoy it while it does so far for this Jets team, right, Dave?
Well, the only thing is that, the crazy part, Drew, and we've talked about this throughout the course of this streak, is that you keep thinking, well, the Jets must have so much distance between them and the next place team. And Minnesota, if everybody wasn't talking about Winnipeg and how unlikely things look right now, the Minnesota Wild, who had just came off the road and had a phenomenal road trip. Right now, they're up 4-3 over.
They won. It's over. They beat Tampa Bay 5-3 tonight.
Okay, so they must have scored an empty netter, but it was so they were playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, who of course will be into Winnipeg on Sunday afternoon. But I mean, just remarkable that Minnesota continues to win, and now they're just only 4 points back of Winnipeg, having played 1 fewer game.
Worth pointing out though that Dallas lost tonight to Florida, so the Jets do gain ground again.
Oh yeah, Dallas lost. They're
the
playing in
season.
Finland right now.
Sorry, in Finland. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
They played in Finland this afternoon, and Florida beat them this afternoon. So again, it's way too early to be scoreboard watching, but there might not be a ton of room between the Jets and the Wild, but there's a little more room between the Jets and the Stars, and then the Jets in Utah, and certainly the Jets in Colorado, as they're certainly going through their struggles. So you can only control what you can control, as we've said on the show over and over and over and over again. And the Jets are controlling their lane of things with that 10-1 record through 11 games so far this year. Just absolutely remarkable.
The 909 save percentage or win percentage. And Drew, you were talking about the numbers and the goals for and the goals against. One of the things that probably shouldn't be glossed over is Columbus had came into this game scoring quite a bit. Yeah. I think they had, 30 something, 35 goals maybe.
I guess they scored twice tonight. So they had 35.
Right.
So they were just under 4 goals a game themselves.
That's what I'm saying. So Columbus came in and they've been scoring quite a bit, and you detailed it. They beat up on the Oilers. They beat up on Toronto. They beat up on Seattle, I think. So they had a number of big goal games. And so to keep them to 2 is a victory. And we talked about the Jets' possession. And one of those goals, of course, came on the power play. So they only gave up the 1 5-on-5 goal for Winnipeg. So good, stingy defense, great offense. Right now, this Jets team is clicking. Sure, there's going to be things that are going to derail them, but it's about just continuing to add to the positivity. Now they come home, they get a chance to, because obviously it was a little bit of an abnormal situation coming back and only being in Winnipeg for the one game against the Leafs, then going back on the road. But like we detailed, they'll have 4 straight here in Winnipeg, and a good chance to continue what they've built, because this you can say the schedule's been easy. Fine. You're welcome to. And as I highlighted the comment from Rain just a few minutes ago, people said that Minnesota game wasn't that impressive. Well, given what Minnesota's done, it looks like, but I'm saying it's a little bit more of an impressive victory, right? Because Minnesota's a better team than people probably would have originally given them credit for. Look, right now, you just have to enjoy what this Jets club has done. And they're the talk of the league, and they're the toast of the league. Yeah. Are they going to remain that way? We don't know. But what we do know is that they've gotten 20 out of 22 points to start the season. They're on their way to setting all sorts of records. And from whether it's Kyle Connor or Nikolai Ehlers or Connor Hellebuck or whomever it is, they're getting contributions up and down the lineup. And it's a remarkable thing to watch. And I'm sure Jets fans are enjoying it. So smash that like button before you head out and enjoy the rest of your night.
Enjoy the rest of your night indeed, but be sure to be back here 9 a.m. tomorrow for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Nathan McIntosh is in town. If you haven't seen Nathan, he's hilarious. Originally from Halifax, now lives in New York City. 2 shows tomorrow night, 7:15 and 9:45. Get your tickets, rumorscomedyclub.com. Play Now, of course, is the title sponsor of all of our shows. Big thanks to them. Holt Dental. I was talking to Dr. Jonathan Holt earlier this week, and we've got some ideas for a new commercial percolating that certainly, if we can execute them, will be very, very funny and go down in the lore of Illegal Curve commercial history. Our friends at Boston Pizza, we're next there 3 weeks from tonight. So again, mark it in your calendar. 3 weeks from tonight, Friday, November 22nd, the Jets at the Penguins. Will Rutger be in the lineup? We do not know. But we will be at Boston Pizza Taylor for a 6 o'clock puck drop, an Illegal Curve watch party, and post-game show at a very reasonable hour. So be sure to join us 3 weeks from today on Friday, November 22nd for that. Also, our friends at City Place will be there that week as well. We'll be there on November the 19th for the Jets and the Panthers. That's our next City Place lunch hour show. So in about less than 3 weeks, we'll be back for that when the Paul Maurice and the defending Cup champs will be in Winnipeg on Tuesday, November 19th. We'll be at City Place. And, of course, Seagram's for their support of the show. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. For Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.